Hello and welcome to the CN Podcast, episode 6. And I'm Vineet Ramakrishnan, and joining me is Rudransh Khurana. And we are in the middle of the IPL, the Indian Premier League. And what a better time than this to review the mid season battles and the mid season performances of the teams. And quite interesting, the traditional powerhouses of CSK, MI, KKR are nowhere in the top 10. Instead, you have Delhi Capitals, Punjab Kings, and teams like, of course, Gujarat Titans and LSG vying for that top 4 spot. In fact, in that top 5, GT are the only previous winners so far ahead. And it's not just the mid-season. We have had a few more matches beyond the mid-season level as well, and DC and GT, of course, topping the charts. So let's begin there. The kind of a shift that we have seen. What do you attribute this to in kind of how DC, PBKS, and GT? We remember the auctions were also there. CSK, MI also were in the same auction, but two contrasting set of results so far.
I think the best way I can describe this is if you heard Stephen Fleming's comments the other night, he was saying that we are trying to build for the future. That we even MS Dhoni said that we are okay with however the season has gone. We'll try to qualify, but if we don't, we'll look to get players for the future. We'll look to get combinations for the future. It tells you the difference between these teams. It is CSK have tried to be on the same path, experience. Whereas a team like DC, they have invested in a lot of young players who know how T20 cricket works in today's time.
Yeah.
In flatter pitches, on flatter tracks, where in high scoring matches, where bowling is not about taking wickets, where bowling is about stopping runs, which creates wickets. These are the methods that these younger players, these younger support staff members, these younger coaches and these younger captains like Akshar Patel are bringing to the table, which these old franchises, old guard as we call them, the big three, they don't. They are just going by their tried and tested ways, which are no longer working. And I think that is also what we are seeing in PBKS, where Shreyas Iyer and Ricky Ponting are trying a lot of different things, where they have openers like Priyan Shara and Prabhsimran Singh who are exciting, who are setting the foundation for almost all of their matches. And we don't see that with KKR, who are going with Quinton de Kock, Sunil Narayan, the same old tactics up in Chitra at the top. And we don't see that with CSK, where they spent a lot of their season with Devon Conway, where they spent a lot of their season with trying to get a good position for Ruturaj Gaikwad. It's like these teams are still in their old ways, and the newer teams are showing how it can be done, even with different methods. And that is very exciting that is the most exciting thing about this season as well.
And also, one of the most exciting things is the fact that we talked about 2024, raved about it, in the fact that it was such a high scoring tournament or a high scoring season. Sunrisers Hyderabad near about touching the 300 mark. A lot of other teams, be it KKR, be it Punjab Kings, also nearing 250. This season, the pitches are not that much suited for batting yet. Yet the trend is pretty much similar in the sense you are getting high scoring games. I mean, in fact, in the mid season at all, if we compare,
Yeah.
15 times 200 mark was breached. Here it's already been 21 times.
Yeah.
The run rate is pretty much the same, 9.59, 9.89 or something similar. But the pitches aren't that conducive. Yet you're seeing this kind of power hitting or big hitting, or teams really going aggressively in terms of batting. I mean, T20, we have seen in many ways over the years, even in international cricket, that batting's the mainstay here. But despite the pitch conditions and despite everything we had talked about, the bowlers getting a bit of those advantages with the
Yeah.
saliva ban, with the new ball coming in, there
Yeah.
is not much effect of due. A generational change and trend also. And just to add on to that point, you had seen anchormen like a Shreyas Iyer or a KL Rahul striking at 140, 130, and that was one of the biggest criticism against these guys. But these guys are also now striking at 150 plus, 180 plus. You've seen the shift in RCB over
Yeah.
the couple of years or 3 years, how they have become so aggressive, intent wise in the top six. You're seeing that generational shift as well in terms of T20. It's not just about the pitches anymore, it's about the intent.
I think this just shows how big of a change the impact player rule brought.
Yeah.
I think last season the talk was about pitches and impact player rule making the IPL high scoring. But now we can see that even if pitches where we have seen low scoring matches in Hyderabad, we have seen Kolkata turn, we have seen Chepauk turn, we are seeing Chennai Swami turn, and even still we are seeing high scoring matches. That just suggests that the impact player rule has brought a massive change which we couldn't even gauge last year. I think that in itself is making these games much more high scoring, because players like KL Rahul and Shreyas Iyer, they have been told that you have an extra batter waiting. You don't have to build. You don't have to take that extra burden. You don't have to take the extra responsibility. You can just go at it from the first ball. And I think that has brought these changes, because we always had talent. Shreyas Iyer, KL Rahul, not just them, Shubman Gill, Sai Sudarshan. India has always had big hitting talent. It's just they needed a platform to show it, and now the impact player rule has given them that platform to show that, and which is why I think till the impact player stays in as a rule in the IPL, we'll continue to see these high scoring matches. And we'll continue to see batters like even like Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma go about it without caring about their numbers or anything. It's just about getting the job done for the team, irrespective of the pitches. Like we saw in the last match between Kolkata Knight Riders and Gujarat Titans, the pitch wasn't a regular 200 plus pitch.
Absolutely,
But Titans
yeah.
still managed to cross 190 because they had the batting ability, and they trusted their batting ability, because they had the impact player waiting in the wings who can give them that depth and provides them with the fearlessness to go against the bowling. And we saw in the second innings how KKR couldn't be a match to them on the same pitch. The pitches are better this year. It's just the impact player rule has given the batters that freedom, which they're still enjoying this year.
A lot of freedom as well, and it depends on the impact players as well, how
Yeah.
you are using the impact players. You mentioned about GT and how Shafin Rutherford has come in as an impact player, or maybe somebody like Washington Sundar. They've been very smart on that, and on the other hand, there have been teams who have really bungled that up. Prime accusation there would be for somebody like a Rajasthan
Yeah.
Royals. They just don't know how to wade about through that impact player role, or who to bring in, or maybe they don't have the enough bench strength for that matter. But we'll get to that impact player a bit later. But another talking point, major talking point, has been the pitches, and lot of teams have talked about this. Lot
Yeah.
of teams have come out in public saying that they are not getting the kind of pitches they want. KKR versus Ajinkya Rahane went to the extent where commentators even are now in many ways being banned or asked not to comment on the games. RCB also have come up with a certain kind of statement. Stephen Fleming, of course, as you mentioned at the top of the show. Home field advantage, is it something, is it myth, or is it something really works out? Because RCB, terrific away, 3 losses at home, not have won at home at all. Chepak, Chennai Super Kings stronghold, they've lost 3 straight games there. LSG have been patchy at Akana, so have been a couple of other teams. What is it about the home field advantage, or are we reading too much into this? Because it's the IPL, it's T20 game after all. How much a pitch would change in a matter of 40 overs?
I think KKR blaming the pitches, it just started that trend where every team, whenever they were losing at their home, they found the opportunity to just say that their pitches are not conducive to their needs. I think there is some truth in that, because bowling favoring teams like KKR, Chennai Super Kings, they want pitches which turn, which give their bowlers something, because they rely on their bowlers to get to win the matches. They don't rely on their batters. They just rely on their batters to give them enough of a score, or use their batting depth to just chase whatever their bowlers can hold the opposition down to. I think in or a team like RCB, they want batting friendly wickets,
Yeah.
because they have I think they try to make a team according to the batting friendly needs, and because wherever they are going, they are finding that those batting friendly tracks. They think that opposition are have a better advantage, or their opposition venues are better suited to their needs than Chinnaswamy. I think there is a bit of truth in that, but there is also that teams should look themselves into the should look into the mirror themselves, because KKR, for example, they have had a lot of different kinds of pitches, and
Yeah.
they have still not found success at the Eden Gardens. Last night they had the perfect pitch for their needs. Their spinners didn't take even one wicket
Against Gujarat Titans,
yeah,
that is, yeah.
exactly. So, and RCB, I have heard Andy Flower go into that dressing room and saying that in all of our home matches, our batting has not stepped up. We have to accept that, and I think that is absolutely right. They can't just say, oh, we are coming at home and it's not working out for us because the pitch is not supporting us. It's like you are giving yourselves an excuse to not perform. I think if the batters and bowlers in the team and the coaches take more accountability of those losses, they can do better. It's like I don't think RCB Chinnaswamy is giving extremely bad wickets. It's not giving them 120, 130 wickets.
Yeah.
And if you can't succeed on 170, 180 wickets, you can't just say that I want a 200 wicket or our team can't win. Then you don't deserve to win the title. If you can't win on 170, 180 tracks, you can't deserve to win the title. And only those teams win titles which have the ability to adapt to different situations, which have the balance and the versatility to adapt to different situations. If you just want one thing, if you just want keep expecting spin friendly wickets in the IPL, you won't get that.
You won't get that,
You
yeah.
have 10 different venues, sometimes 12, sometimes 13. You can't expect that this if we get this venue then only we'll win, because everything decides a lot of things. You can't just say we want specific conditions to win. Then you are just giving yourself a huge excuse. KKR of the last year didn't say that we can't win at home. They won so many matches at home because they had the ability to score even in high scoring or low scoring matches. It's just teams need to take more accountability. I agree that I agree with the fact that home pitches should be conducive to the team. Curators should help the home franchises to win matches, and there should be some sort of benefit for them if the home teams wins, and BCCI should allow franchises to have some sort of say. I'm not saying they should dictate how Eden Gardens should behave or Chinnaswamy should behave, because they also host international matches. But for those 2 months, they should have some say in it. I agree with that fact, but teams should also be more open to taking the accountability that if they're not winning in different kinds of variety of pitches, there is some fault in their build up in how they are lining up on those pitches and how their batters and bowlers are performing on those wickets.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just about your own fault. I mean,
Exactly.
in the great Muhammad Hafiz's words, control the controllables and just
Exactly.
don't, go about complaining the other stuff which is not in your control. And
Absolutely.
that has been the case. I mean, from last season, a lot of complaint was, you're getting these boring, high-scoring games.
Yeah.
It's at least a bit of change from there,
Yeah.
even if it's high-scoring or even if it is not to that extent. You're seeing an equal battle with the bat and ball, of course, how GT as a bowling unit are performing or others are performing. And even from a batting point of view, RCB have come about it, the kind of intent that they have shown. DC also have been a bit scratchy, but they find themselves, conditions which may not be suiting them, but they are still able to win or
Exactly.
try to get some win there. So yeah, that's about the overall perspective. Let's bring in the team's perspective here, how the teams are shaping up. Just to give you a lowdown again, GT at the top of the table, Chennai Super Kings at the bottom of the table, 8 wins, 6 points only, 4 points only. They have 6 losses, pretty much done and dusted there. Do you think
Yeah.
even this MS Dhoni has come back, Rudransh Gaikwad in very, dramatic style, stepping away with a fracture injury? Even though without the fracture he can be seen playing football. So yeah, quite interesting there. But let's kick this off with CSK itself. A lot of fan following it was there, a fanfare for MS Dhoni's loss. He would be, he has already given the mantle over to Rudransh Gaikwad. This was kind of a season where Rudransh Gaikwad really comes out on his own. That has not been the case. Injury concerns, the team build up, everything. I mean, you had such an expectation from a Sam Curran returning back, a Ravichandran Ashwin returning back. You had high hopes for Rachin Ravindra or a Devon Conway, Rituaj Gaikwad, of course, there. Still, they had a lot of chinks in their armor. Deepak Hooda, Rahul Tripathi, kind of washed up players from the domestic circuit you're bringing in, whereas others are bringing in more younger, more informed players.
Exactly.
Their bowlers also, I mean, you had a look at somebody like Ravindra Jadeja, a legend of the game, legend of IPL itself, but the form is waning, the age is not on his side. You bring in a Vijay Shankar. Overall, right from the start, we did not think CSK would be that competitive, but the way they went about their business, the lack of intent in couple of games was shocking, to be honest. This is not the CSK that we have known. So, what is the one major thing from your point of view that CSK really missed in this season up till this point?
I think the biggest thing they have missed is batters. I say that because Ruturaj Gaikwad was the only specialist batter they had who could do something for their season. And now that they have lost him, you can see them bringing in Sheikh Rashid, Ayush Mahatri. It's because they don't have good specialist batters who can score runs. They have Devon Conway, who's a wicket-keeper batter. They have who is very he's not in his prime. They have Rachin Ravindra, who is an all-rounder. He's not in form. I won't say he's not in prime. I think it was a good buy, but he's not in form.
Yeah.
They have Ravindra Jadeja, who's
And primarily from a Convoy and a Ravindra's point of view, they are not your traditional or archetypical T20
Exactly.
batters. I mean, to
Exactly.
have them at the top, more suited for ODI format, I think that is also one of the things
Yeah.
hampering CSK.
Yeah, you have perfectly decided that. I think they have too many of those players who are not your fearless, uh, big hitting players that you need in T20s. I know the best teams are the teams with balance. They have a balance with big hitters and anchor types batters, but the worst teams are who are just very dependent on one type of batters. I think KKR are dependent on they have a lot of big hitters and they are not able to sort it out. Exactly like where CSK have a lot of slow ODI type of batters.
Vijay Shankar also.
Vijay Shankar, who is an all-rounder, Ravindra Jadeja, who is an all-rounder, he scored a 50 the other day, but you could see how bad that 50 was.
The pressure was on himself.
Exactly.
I mean, there was a tweet that, great knock under pressure, and somebody replied back saying, who created the pressure in the first place? It was Jadeja itself.
Exactly. He took 6 overs and he scored 54 runs in depth. You don't want that in these pitches that we are seeing. You want someone who, if he's taking 6 overs, he scores an 80-90. That's the level of IPL we are seeing. You can't have an all-rounder coming at number 4 and scoring a 50 of 36 balls. That will always 9 out of 10 times it will lose you the match.
But tell me one thing, what about the finisher who's coming at number 9, maybe number 6? Is it done? Is it done? I mean, literally, from a point of view of a player, not a franchise player, not as an icon, but as a player with that kind of skill set to be part of that playing line, is it done for MS Dhoni?
It is. I think what we have heard so far is this is his last season. I think rightfully so, because
and you don't see a replacement for Dhoni as well, ready-made replacement in terms of
Exactly.
wicket-keeper finisher, or maybe just a wicket-keeper. Even from the young lot, you're not seeing they can pick somebody from the bench.
Yeah.
They'll have to buy somebody, or they'll have to do some mid-season swap.
They had the chance. They had the chance in the auction. You couldn't have a better auction for a wicketkeeper batter you could have for long term.
Pant, Rahul.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You could even have gotten someone like Shreyas Iyer and build the team around it, get a wicketkeeper next year, a younger wicketkeeper. But you didn't. You just went with the same experience, tried and tested, plus some young players, and now see where you are.
It's just too late for CSK.
Exactly.
One last question on CSK, and just be brief on this. Do you think they still have a chance, or they can make a turnaround and compete for the place in that playoff?
I don't think so. I think they have way too many gaps to do that. I think the teams that have made those turnarounds like RCB, KKR in the past, I think they always had that ability. They were just underperforming on metrics. I think CSK are lucky to have as many wins as they have. I think they could have had a much worse season. Even the last match against CSK LSG, they could have very easily lost that.
Yeah.
But I don't think they can do the turnaround this time.
Of the six games remaining, how many you think they can win now?
I think one or two.
Max 2.
On a
So
stra-
that's
on a
the
stretch.
bottom of the table
Yeah.
finish for them for
Yeah.
the first time, I think, or they have done that. I think Ruturaj
I think
Gaikwad's
it was-
first season they did.
Yeah.
Interesting. Would be interesting to see how CSK end up with. Let's look at SRH. Again, one of those teams, the most talked about teams in 2024, even though KKR were the one who won the title. It's SRH with that generational attitude, shift in attitude, the way they went about with their batting, going gung-ho, the kind of players they brought in. This season was a reality check for them.
Exactly.
In a way, being told to SRH that other teams are not fooling around. Other teams have done their homework and they have come up with that homework. And somewhere you feel like SRH was sitting pretty on the back of, we have a Travis Head, we have an Abhishek Sharma, we have an Heinrich Klaasen, we'll bring in an Ishan Kishan, and that's our gun lineup. But you're forgetting the fact that Heinrich Klaasen, one of the best T20 players recently, was terribly out of form. His SA T20 wasn't the greatest. Ishan Kishan was coming off a long
Break.
non-competitive break there. Travis said, okay, I mean, you never really say that guy is out of form, but then again, he was also coming off very different formats. Abhishek Sharma, we had seen what he had done the last time around. But even then, you need to have the bowling to, even defend the total of 220 or
Exactly.
240. Is this the case with SRH, or you're able to find anything else beyond this?
I think SRH were benefited by the fact that every pitch last season was flat. I think Hyderabad was the flattest, and wherever they were going, wherever they were winning matches, even Chennai was flat, RCB was very flat, even Lucknow was flat. You don't expect these pitches to be flat, but they were very, very flat last time, and they were going and they could play the same style they had, and they could win matches. Now they are not winning matches because they are getting a different variety of pitches where you need a bit of an attrition, bit of a you need to spend some time and you can't just go from the first ball. And I think that is bothering them a lot. I still think they have the batting quality to win this tournament. I don't think if they can do it now,
Yeah.
but I always thought that they had the quality. I just think they were too one dimensional. Like as you say, they had the same. They were riding too much on the confidence from the last season that they just needed one or two steps. I don't think they needed one or two steps. They needed a bit more depth in that squad. They needed some better quality in that squad in the bowling, not just wicket taking bowlers, but also some bowlers who can stop runs. All of their bowlers are wicket taking, but they concede 50, 60, 40 runs in almost every match.
Every game, yeah.
And if you're doing that and not scoring as well as you were last season on a bit more bowling friendly types, then you're bound to lose many matches, and that is what's happening. I still think they have the ability to turn this around. I really believe, I really hope they can, because they're a very exciting team. But they really need to figure out and not be that one dimensional. They can't just say that this is how we play, because we have discussed this before. You can't go the England way and say this is how we play. You have to adapt to situations. You have to adapt to the season that you have, and you have to adapt to the cards that you are being dealt with. You can't just say this is how we play and this is how we will win. You will not win like that.
And with SRH, the kind of squad makeup they have, there's no middle ground there.
Exactly.
Either they're going to have a very fantastic season, or they're going to have a very poor season, and it's pretty much bordering to that second line, that poor season, if at all, if they are able to turn around or not. Yes, but as you said, there's still hope, because the Travis Head, Abhishek Sharma, Ishan Kishan, or a Pat Cummins, at least they have players who are certain match winners. If they perform on their given day, you just need one of these guys to fire,
Yeah.
and that's pretty much dead certain that you're going to win the game. It's just not happening for them, at least for the first 7 games that we have seen, and the kind of bowling that has been done to them is also pretty much way how teams have prepared. For SRS, 7 games remain. As you are mentioning, we can be hopeful because it's an exciting team. It's a very exciting team to look at, and they do have a certain Pat Cummins also, who does have a penchant for picking up clutch situation, picking up trophies. Maybe trophy might be a bit too far, because halfway stage they are 9th. We would be very difficult. They need to have that Mumbai Indians kind of season to make a comeback. Let's look at Rajasthan Royals, one of the teams that's probably for me the most disappointing, because very much similar to SRH, quite exciting bunch. Yes, one of the things that RR did was very much similar to what KKR did by retaining the wrong Iyer. They probably retained the wrong foreigner. They should not have let go of Josh Butler.
Exactly.
But even then, the Indian core was, at least on paper, so strong in Sanju Samson, Yashasvi Jaiswal, Riyan Parag. You couldn't get any better than this, and you brought in a Nitish Rana, who's again very handy batter. I'm not saying T20 batter, very handy batter who knows the situation, will play according to the situation. And very funny enough, he has been their best batter so far, not a Samson who's been marred with injuries, not even Jaiswal or Riyan Parag for that matter. RR, is it a case where they became a bit too cheeky, saying that, you know what, this is our Indian core, we would like to be the good guys and we'll bring in, and you actually let go of certain match winners, and even the players that you brought in, Amanandu Hasaranga, Mahesh Thikshana, pale shadow of what they were. You know how Asaranga was for RCB, or a Thikshana was for CSK. Just not happening. And all of this, even more shocking, comes under the tutelage of Rahul Dravid.
I think Rahul Dravid doesn't have too much to be blamed for. I think RR lost this season in their retentions before the auction. I won't even say auction. I think they had a decent auction. They they're running Rajasthan Royals like they would be running a football club. They're investing in young players. They are hoping that they would they would increase in value. But here you don't have a mid-season window where you sell the players.
Yeah,
You can't Riyan Parag, Dhruv Jurel, but at their highest value last season, but you can't sell them. and they continue to spend that huge amount of money on them, where even if they had sent them to the auction, they could have got them for much cheaper, because I don't think anybody was going to get Riyan Parag for more than 15 crores or Dhruv Jurel for 14 crores in the auction, because they don't have the T20 numbers except for like one season for Riyan Parag and a couple of games for Dhruv Jurel. And even with Shimron Hetmaya, they paid too much for these players who aren't your regular top first 11 players. I don't think they are. I think Sanju Samson is the only one who could be like a very sure shot starter, and Yashasvi Jaiswal. But apart from them, these you could have saved some of the money and get more depth, because they don't have any batters. We are saying, oh wow, they brought in Vaibhav Suryavanshi, but they have to bring in Vaibhav Suryavanshi because they don't have batters.
They don't have any other batter.
You are bringing in a 14-year-old. It's not something to be praised for. You should have had better batters, better senior batters to take that opening spot when your captain is injured. You don't have a backup opening batter. That's not how it works in the IPL. Imagine if Sanju Samson was injured and Suryavanshi was just another 14-year-old, then you just had a 14-year-old batting, taking deliveries from Arnett, Nokia, Mitchell Stark in every match, and you would be getting him beaten for nothing, for no fault of his own. Ideally, he should have got like a couple of years before making a start, but now he has been thrown in, and
even from the bowling front, it's not that rosy, because
Exactly.
Jofra Archer comes in, and that has been the case with Jofra Archer. With the new ball, he'll get you wickets, but he's always very expensive in the middle and especially in the death overs. So, and this was the case with him when he was with Rajasthan Royals, I think 4 years back. Sandeep Sharma has been decent enough, but they just are not able to bring in that cohesive bowling unit as well.
I think you are absolutely right in saying that, because uh, Vanendu Hasaranga and Mahesh Sikshana aren't bad bowlers, but it just takes a lot of balance out of your team, because you are relying on two overseas players to continuously do your job, and you don't have any overseas batters in your top to middle order. You need some of those big hitters, which you either way didn't have in your core, and the only big hitter you have is Shimron Hetmyer, who's not in form and who hasn't been
Who's
in
never
great
been
form.
in form, kind
Exactly.
of, yeah.
So you needed something. Josh Butler was alone carrying your seasons. He was hitting centuries regularly, and you chose to drop him for what? Nothing. You have brought Sanju Samson, Jaiswal, and Riyan Parag at 3, but Riyan Parag is not Josh Butler, and Nitish Rana is not Josh Butler. You could have had Nitish Rana, Riyan Parag, and Josh Butler. That would have been a decent lineup. But this is not. You are playing Dhruv Jurel. You can't expect Dhruv Jurel to have a 500 run season or a 450 run season, because he has never been that great of an T20 player. It's just wrong expectations, running like a football club.
And also the kind of lineup they brought in. Riyan Parag last season did well at number 4. You're bringing him at number 4, at number 3. Nitish Rana hasn't had a perfect, or hasn't had a stable position. He is your perfect number 3. But he himself, I think, in the Delhi pre-season, pre-game press conference, he did mention about, his form depends on where he is batting. So you're not giving a regular position for Rana. You are kind of forcing Riyan Parag in many ways where you didn't really need to. You are thinking of Dhruv Jurel as your number 5 boundary hitter, but he clearly is not. So I think that is where the trouble is, and of course the trouble mounted when Samson got injured and he was not at his best as a batter, even though as a player or as a captain he might have his inputs, but missing out Samson has been the biggest worry for them. RR at number 8 with 8 games, gone 6 games, one word. Do you see a turnaround? Do you see a playoff spot? What is their final position that you would see?
No, I don't think so. I think they will finish a bit below SRH. I think SRH will be able to go ahead of them. I don't know where, maybe 8th, maybe 9th.
8th or 9th is what you're looking at. KKR, we have talked about KKR in the previous segments as well. But then again, one of the things that you mentioned about KKR is it's not just about the headline might be about the pitchers. The headline might be about no O Gambhir, no Shreyas Iyer. But despite one of the teams which use the retention to its extent by even retaining an uncapped Ramandeep Singh, this is probably one of the reasons where KKR are thinking and sitting back, oh damn, every player that we chose just is not having a good season. Everyone is out of form. Be it a Venkatesh Iyer, maybe the pressure of that 23 crore price tag. Look at a Ramandeep Singh, look at a Rinku Singh, look at an Andre Russell, and even a Sunil Narayan for that matter. Russell and Narayan, high time you just look beyond these icons of at least KKR and look for newer guys. It's time to say goodbye to these guys.
I think Andres and Sunil Narayan, they have. I don't think it's about saying goodbye to them. I think it's about realizing their limitations. They are very good batters. They are very good all rounders who will give great contributions to you in some matches, like Russell getting side situation out last match. But they have their limitations. They can't win you every match. They can't be your that nine players will set up matches and these two will win you matches. It can't work like that anymore. They have done that before, but you need to realize the limitations that age brings. You can see MS Dhoni; he can't win you every match like with CSK, and these guys also need to know that. And I think KKR had one of the best retentions when they announced it, but they it's just like we have discussed before. It's the batting mess that is causing them all the issues.
Too many hitters there and no versatility.
Yeah,
Pretty much opposite to what SRH has, I think. But in
exactly.
many ways, similar equation as SRH.
Yeah, it's like I think SRH have a set batting order which batters are not able to utilize on pitches. I think KKR are struggling because they don't have a set plan, a set batting order. They are
Amritesh Raghuvanshi batting at number
number
9
nine.
just makes no
Exactly.
sense.
He coming as an impact player at number 9 in the last 2-3 overs just tells you how many issues they have. They have too many batters. I think they are just trying to fill up their batting lineup by giving them the fearless this thing, but none of the batters are showing enough intent to hit from ball one. The batters lack confidence and they're trying to give them the confidence by giving them batting depth. It doesn't work like that.
And
You need to work
ironically,
on
that is the
individual.
thing. I mean, if you could be fearless because at least on paper you have the batting depth.
Yeah.
Till Russell or till Harshit Rana. And for me, I think this was something I also discussed. One of the things for me, what worked for KKR last year was their uncapped bowlers in Vaibhav and Harshit Rana, which has not been the case this time around. They've been very flat. And Ajinkya Rahane, ironically, the weakest link, what we thought at the auction is probably their strongest link as of now from a batting perspective as well and from a leadership role because they don't have any other options. KKR at number 7 with 8 games down, 6 games. Turnaround, yes or no?
I think turnaround, yes, but I don't think a turnaround till top 4. I think they can be competitive, but they may finish 5th or 6th.
Fifth or sixth. That brings us to the sixth team on the table, which is a Mumbai Indians. Very horrible start. They've started to pick up, and the way the win over Chennai Super Kings could be scary prospect for a lot of other teams. And one of the biggest takeaways is that Rohit Sharma is back in form. Lot of critiques, a lot of trolling for him, but he's managed to get his runs. Do you think that upward trend would follow? And from a team perspective, what's really working for them now, since despite or how they started, in contrast to what they started, what is now working for them? Are they able to bring together their strategies finally with a Rohit Sharma firing at the top of the order?
I think what has worked from them now is they have sorted their batting out. I was waiting for the match that they sent Surya Kumar Yadav at number 3, and finally that has started happening. I think they were doing too much. A lot of cricketers in their team were too selfless. I think they were trying to give other opportunities. They were trying to send Will Jacks at number 3. They were pushing Tilak Verma to a finishing role. Hardik Pandya was never getting the right amount of chances, and Rohit Sharma was being too aggressive at the start because he wanted to give the impactful starts at the top of the order. I think they have had like a couple of good meetings and they have tried to sort the individual roles for their team. I think they have now asked Rohit to not be uber aggressive at the top of the order, but play according to the situation, which he did last night. I won't read too much into a win over CSK because we are seeing CSK are
Yeah,
not
how
at their
CSK
best.
been
But still,
terrible.
I think the clarity of roles was the thing that I took away from that match. Even Surya Kumar Yadav coming at number 3, he looked like the Surya Kumar Yadav of his old. And again, Jasprit Bumrah coming back because he has given them a fear factor in the bowling which they lacked. They don't have to use him in the power play. They are using him wherever they want, and he's not leaking runs. He is, if not at his best, but his middle level is also one of the best in the world. So he's giving them so much quality in that bowling attack. I think they look like Mumbai Indians of the old. They still have some issues. They have some issues with their spin department. They have some issues with
That's always
support.
been their perennial problem, I think, for the
Exactly.
last 2-3 years. And one of the things is probably how Deepak Chahar seems to finally set in the role that he's been given. I mean, he was patchy at the start, but really looking, alongside a Jasprit Bumrah and others, he's doing the job for him. They are at number 5, so yeah, definitely in the race for playoffs. But yeah, time is definitely running out. Our loss here and there could derail that, but they have had the momentum now. Two straight wins, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, quite a lot to look forward to. Now that brings us to our top 5, which is LSG, PBKS, RCB, DC, and GT LSG. Very interesting team. You and me and Harshit, everybody were talking. They just don't have the bowling. They
Yeah.
just don't have the bowling. But LSG have managed because from a bowling perspective, they've got probably one of the finds of the season alongside of Vipraj Nigam is Digvesh Rathi.
Exactly.
And the batting of Aiden Markram, Nicholas Puran, Pant, despite not firing, they have managed to, even a Badoni for that matter, they banked on their batting and the batting is delivering and the bowling is just about there with Ravi Bishnoi probably coming in, a Digvesh Rathi coming in, a lot of injuries, but still they've managed to do it, LSG.
I think their position in the points table is perfect for any team because they are not overperforming their quality and they are not underperforming their quality. They have just been bang on. Their batting has stepped up in a few games, their bowling has stepped up in a few games, and I think it just shows that I think it can be attributed to Justin Langer, who was a very successful coach in the BBL, and Rishabh Pant's off the field skills. I don't see him as a great leader on the field tactically, but off the field, I think they have a
Brings
very
together the team well.
exactly. I think they have a very good environment running in. It's just a gut feel. I don't know if what is happening behind the scenes, but I really think it's the environment that they have created behind the scenes, which is just bringing all of these good, decent players, new incoming players, or underrated players like Aiden Markram or Mitchell Marsh. They are performing up to their standard. I'm not saying they are performing very well. They're performing up to up to their standard, and against teams which are not doing well, which have messes to clear. I think these teams, just because of the clarity and just because how decently their players are performing, they are able to match them and beat them in crunch situations. I think Digvesh Rathi has been the find of the season so far. Plus, I think Ravi Bishnoi has been decent. He hasn't been praised enough, but in run stopping, he has been decent. And their spin combination is working very well. Plus, you have Nicholas Puran, Aiton Markram, Mitchell Marsh. That is a very good front three
Yeah.
who are giving them enough good starts, enough runs for those bowlers to defend. And I think their middle order still slowly starting to come in the play. We haven't seen enough of David Miller. We haven't seen enough of Ayush Badal and Rishabh Pant. But that is not a bad thing because they are getting time, and maybe if they also click, they can be a very good underdogs for the trophy.
Underdogs as well. And one of the good things for them is that their impact sub of Abdul Samad is doing
Exactly.
extremely well. If you have to compare the best of the impact sub alongside a Shafin Rutherford, that would be an Abdul Samad. That brings us to number 4, that is PBKS. Again, with Shreyas Iyer, it's a complete turnaround for Punjab Kings. This is a team that looks set for at least a top 2 finish for me alongside GT. Your take on Punjab Kings, because they won games defending low totals. They have scored at a quick pace. Somewhere down the line, it looks like a very complete team alongside GT from a complete team's perspective.
I think the only issue with Punjab Kings is their home. They are not winning matches at their home.
Molanpur.
Yeah, it's just I don't know what is it about Mullanpur. I don't think there is anything related to the pitch or anything. It's just I think the KKR win could change that feeling, and I think the feeling is the only thing that has changed for me about PBKS because by getting a serial winner like Ricky Ponting, who had just won the Major League Cricket in USA, and getting a Shreyas Iyer who had just won the IPL with KKR, they have changed the feel of the franchise. They have brought in young players like Priyansh and Prab Simran, who we spoke about, and they even with players like Josh Inglis in the middle order and
Vadera.
Vadera, that they are a team that is good enough to drop Glenn Maxwell and still win. And I think that is the because I think PVKs were too engaged in some things that they didn't have to. They were too overcomplicated of a franchise. Now with Ricky Ponting and Shreyas Iyer having a clear vision that this is how we want to play, it's not completely about that they're not trying to hit every ball, but they know that this is how we want to play. This is how much freedom we are giving to our players. This is the roles of each player. They are starting to win matches as a team. They're coming together very well. Even the RCB match, I thought they had a chance. They just couldn't break it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It will happen. I don't think they are a team which will win every match. That should win every match. I think they are a team which should win enough matches to make the top four very easily. Top two, top three, maybe even a late number 4 finish, but they have the talent to win this title. They have the means, they have the resources to win this title. It's just about if they can shrug out all of the bad stuff that has happened with PBKS in its history and just use this momentum, use the present, stay in the present, and keep that momentum. Even if 2 wins in a row, 3 wins in a row after loss, it's just about keeping that momentum, getting some of it, and winning matches on the day.
And I think Ricky Ponting and Shreyas Iyer are the two best guys to keep that momentum going.
Exactly.
If they have that momentum, they are the two guys you would expect to ride on it, and maybe PVK should be riding on that. That brings us to RCB. Ee saal kappanamade. Would that be happening or not?
Uh, I think, I think they should definitely qualify for top four, because RCB, they have always had the Chinnaswamy issue is not a new one. They have always not able to win enough matches at Chinnaswamy. I think, but the quality of matches they are winning away, the Rajasthan Royals win, the PBKS win, the KKR win. They have been big wins against good teams, and I take a lot of confidence on them about this. I don't see any actual big issues with them. Maybe a couple of guys haven't been tested as much. Couple of guys haven't been at the best form, but they as a unit they are looking very good. They are like a proper underdog story. Not because they don't have, like we used to see RCB. They used to have so many superstars that you couldn't count them in your hands. They had so many: Chris Gale, Yuvraj Singh, Shane Watson, AB de Villiers, all of them sometimes together. Glenn Maxwell. But now they just have one Virat Kohli and a lot of really good players, a lot of really good T20 players, and I think a lot of credit of that goes to Andy Flower. I think he is a very good T20 coach, and he has brought that we are okay with just having one Virat Kohli and really great T20 players who can win us matches by just being not being superstars, not because of their experience, but because they want to perform, they want to prove their points in that stage. And I think that is what is working for RCB. I think with Patidar, they are trying to change things, and I think first time the change, the shift, all of it is working. I hope to see them in the top four, and I think if they go to the top four, it's just about, again, like Punjab Kings, not buckling up to the pressure of the history and staying in the present and winning matches on the day. And I think a Punjab Kings RCB final would be very good.
That'd be very interesting. And for me, it's the value for money buys as well.
Yeah.
Value for money players that they have in a Phil Salt and somebody like a David Patikal finally. Thank God that he's probably able to get the kind of opportunity that the talent merits. He was pretty much lost, I think, with the Rajasthan Royals for a couple of seasons. He's getting that impact sub role as well, and he's doing that even from a bowling perspective. Getting in somebody like Krunal Pandya was actually a very good buy,
Smart
and
buy, yeah.
he's giving you all those returns as well. So yeah, RCB look very set. We are down to two teams, which is DC and GT. GT, I have made my thoughts on DC GT very clear. Runaway favorites for me here. But DC, for me, there are a lot of chinks. Yet, for some reason or certain ways, they seem to be there at the top two because Jake Fraser-Megach isn't performing. You have an issue with a Faf du Plessis. Akshar Patel as a player is not the same player as he was in 2024. The returns with the bat and the ball are not there. Yet somehow they find themselves at the number two position.
I think they are a classic case of two or three players really carrying the team in different situations. A lot of credit goes to KL Rahul, Kuldeep Yadav, Mitchell Stark. These players who are of international World Cup winning, ICC trophy winning quality players who are performing as much as they are expected, because we are seeing a lot of teams who have these kind of players who are not performing well. I think DC in these players have made the difference with their individual quality, and I think DC are have benefited from a very good auction where they have a very balanced team where they can adapt to different situations. They have a lot of good bowlers who are leading their charge, and they have like someone like Vipraj Nigam coming up who's winning the matches, a young player winning the matches, giving them that energy. And they have a KL Rahul, they have a Abhishek Porel giving them the starts, and KL Rahul being the leader of that batting attack, and Kuldeep Yadav being the leader of the bowling attack.
Yeah.
That these guys are showing the way to the young team, and they are leading the way for a young team, because they have lost almost three of their auction players. Like they have lost Harry Brook, they have lost Jake Fraser McGurk, and they have lost Faf du Plessis. They have dropped Jake Fraser McGurk, and they have lost Faf du Plessis to an injury for like the next 2 or 3 games as well. And even without them, they are doing this well. I think it just goes credits. The credit goes to the Indian core and Mitchell Stark for stepping up, because last season you saw Mitchell Stark wasn't that great in the group stages. He just only came to his
But
own in the
come the
qualifier.
big game, he delivered.
Exactly, and I think it's again DC. It's about the environment. They have found a way. They have a good coaching setup, a very experienced coaching setup, which doesn't have any big names like Ricky Ponting or Gautam Gambhir or Chandrakant Pandit. They have a very young, new coaching setup, but that has just it's just about role clarity. They have given very brilliantly set roles to every of their franchises, and you can hear all of their press conferences. They only talk about role clarity, and I think that has worked very well for them. You won't see them changing things up. You won't see them except KL Rahul, who is flexible, you don't see them trying too many things. That even Karun Nair coming in, they're just giving the right players the right positions, the right roles, and the right confidence behind the scenes, so that they can bring their best ability. And I think they have been helped by playing in good pitches for their abilities, and they still need to be tested on very flat tracks, which need 220 to 30 scores. But apart from that, if it's anything between a 152 or 200 track, I think they are like one of the best teams.
One of the best teams all round as well. I mean, because the fact that you also mentioned they have a lot of good restrictive bowlers as well. You have a Mitchell Stark and a Kuldeep Yadav wicket takers, but you have good restrictive bowlers and a Vipraj Nigam and an Akshar Patel also. So that's pretty much what really brings them in that vicinity of, they're very good when it goes beyond 160. And talking about that, GT, we discussed this earlier as well, but briefly we will get to that. You looked at the GT squad from the auction. It was completely different from what would we expect from a T20 format. You had the top three really set up, top three also. None of them, at least not a Shubman Gill or a Sai Sudarshan, you look at in a T20 mold. Josh Butler at 3, but they managed to do that. But their bowling has been so super. Prasidh Krishna comes in, becomes the purple cap holder. You have a Rashid Khan. Kagiso Rabada is flying in now. He hasn't had a game. You have a Mohammad Siraj. It's absolutely gone, and absolutely, for me, so interesting that with such a gun bowling lineup, you are there at the top.
Yeah.
And your batting is just complementing that.
Exactly. So, like we discussed like a few days ago, Rashid Khan is the worst bowler in that bowling lineup because of his form, and you can never imagine a team where Rashid Khan would be the worst bowler and they would be performing at like they would be the table toppers. I think there have been a lot of comments about Rashid Khan trying to leave that franchise. I don't think he would be wanting that now. I think it's a very good bowling unit which has stepped up because against the odds, because I think it's all about again environment and Ashish Nehra. We have heard Ashish Nehra speaking about we have seen GT coaches speaking about how Ashish Nehra gives their player confidence, and I think this is what's happening at GT. These players have a lot of confidence and great role clarity, and their batting lineup, I still think they have a couple of issues because their middle order hasn't been tested. It hasn't won them as many games as you would like given their batting position. I think is the top three who are performing very, very well, taking a lot of responsibility, winning the matches. I would still want them to see that a match where they are 10 for 3, where they have lost all their top three and them being competitive, then I'll really believe that they can win.
Hopefully that isn't a game where it's one of the playoff games or the eliminator.
Exactly.
But yeah, as you mentioned, GT looked like a very all-round complete team. And yeah, with that, that's the end of our mid-season drive. We're trying to run in quite fast with this. But yeah, overall, CSK, KKR, and MI, they have a lot of catching up to do. On the other hand, GT, DC, LSG and RCB pretty much on trying to ride the form that they are in. Of course, Punjab Kings. And with that, that's a wrap. We will be back with another episode of the CN podcast, episode 7. That would be hopefully closer to the playoff and not after that. This is Vineet Ramakrishnan signing off alongside Rudransh Khurana, and thank you for tuning in.